I'm going to be sharing with you some of the medicinal and herbal properties, as well as spiritual and folkloric properties of the elderberry from the elder tree, and I'm going to be sharing with you my recipe for a wonderful winter herbal remedy of elderberry syrup. I'm also going to be sharing some other herbal winter remedies, so do get yourself a nice hot drink, settle back, relax and enjoy. So I wanted to share this with you. It is a blackberry tincture that I made last year in September, and as you can see, it's still going strong. It's absolutely beautiful. Essentially, I steeped blackberries in vodka with some xylitol, which is like stevia instead of sugar. So it's also very sweet, so it's like a syrup. This I steeped for about a month in September, and then I just strained it out. So like any other tincture, really, really simple. I just did the folk method of literally just vodka covering the blackberries that I had foraged. And this has been amazing as a remedy for coughs, colds, flu symptoms whenever they sort of arise. And for me, it's always a tickly throat, either like a sore throat first or like a cough that comes on. But this has been incredible for that, and so I would highly recommend that people make this. It's very, very easy. I've not recorded myself making this. As I said, it's just a folk method. You forage for your blackberries in whichever way you do. If you work with the spirit of the brambles in that way and you want to connect like I do and harvest that way, you can. If you're a herbalist and you have a different way of doing things, then absolutely, along with, of course, the elderberry syrup, which I'm going to share the recipe for. So again, this is also amazing still, and I've still got lots left, so I'm really, really pleased with it. This tends to be my time of year for crafting herbal remedies, whether it's like a fire cider or a syrup or a tincture or elixir. This is the time. And of course, I still have a couple of my other tinctures going on, my damiana, my nettle, my rose honey elixir. I purchased the ashwagandha rather than make it myself because I feel that it's just more efficient that way. The herb is quite expensive, and I think I'm probably getting a better product to just purchase it. And then the mugwort tincture as well is beautiful. I have more damiana down here. This is upcycled nettles that I use to create the tincture. So with this, because they're just preserved in the alcohol now, obviously strained, but preserved, I use this for tea. And I have some ferns here that I collected. They really need to go upstairs. And then some pine as well that I collected, Austrian pine. And this actually does need straining. That's my St. John's wort. This is my white willow bark, again, upcycled to use in teas. So mostly herbalism things down here, but also some like the ferns and the Austrian pine, that's for Magick, so really they can go upstairs. Damiana tincture, upcycled herbs, again, this is for use in tea. So over here I have my white willow bark tincture, and I have some upstairs as well. I'm sort of like eking this out, to be honest with you, only using it when it's really, really necessary. This is the Herbal Apothecary currently. I have some more up there, some damiana up there. And over here, please don't judge the state of this because I've just put stuff on it. It's not decorated properly yet, so that still has to happen. We have our tree over there. You see, there she is. She needs to be decorated though. So yeah, some mugwort. And then I've got some herbs here that really I need to make use of, like a spirit offering. And this is a bowl from a while ago, an intention bowl that I need to clear out and recycle and give back to nature and just release. So there's a lot of work to be done in the Herbal Apothecary. But yeah, that's the state of it. Okay, so here we have our ingredients for the elderberry syrup I'm going to make. And I've got my elderberries here. And this is my brandy that I've measured out already, and my water that I've measured out. And then I've got some ginger, I've got 4 cloves, I've got some ground cinnamon. I don't have any cinnamon sticks, so I'm just going to be using ground, but ideally you use a cinnamon stick. And you can either use some maple syrup as a vegan option, but I would rather use like some raw local honey or some like Manuka honey. And currently my hubby is shopping and I think he's picking me up some raw local honey, so that is what I'm going to be using to make my elderberry syrup. And you can really put whatever warming herbs and spices that you want to. This is just my preference. So yeah, I really like the flavor of cloves, and I think that they're really warming. They're really, really good for this kind of like immunity boost interesting wintry herbal remedy. So I like to include them. And I usually, of course, will make a fire cider at this time of year, and I'll make that with ginger as well. So these are the kind of warming herbs, plant spirit allies that we turn to this time of year for this work. And obviously, when you're making tinctures, you can use vodka or brandy and things like that. And those tinctures are warming in themselves because of that. So I like to include some form of alcohol in my syrups and tinctures as well. But of course, if you rather not, then you can use things like glycerin. Elderberries are, of course, the fruit of the elder tree, the Sambucus nigra, the European elderberry, or the black elder tree. We also can forage for elderflowers in the spring to summer months, but both of these have very different medicinal properties. So the elderberry is something that for centuries has been utilised to treat many illnesses and maladies, from coughs and colds, flu, burns, cuts, fever, as well as rheumatism. It's been used to improve complexions in ancient Egypt, and it was utilised by indigenous peoples to treat fever and rheumatism. It is truly a remarkable plant medicine, and it's also a very spiritual medicine that has much folklore. The elder tree is a perennial shrub, and it's usually found in forests and gardens and as hedgerows. It has been used for centuries to make preserves and cordials and herbal infusions and decoctions and syrups and wines. It's also really, really tasty in cordials, and so it adds a lot of flavour, but it's also a really, really great way to imbibe vitamin C and antioxidants into the body. The constituents include flavonoids, vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin B6, potassium. But the raw berries, the leaves and the bark, are actually highly poisonous, and this links into some of the folklore because the elder tree is also known as Mother Elder and the guardian, I suppose, the gateway to the underworld, almost a little bit like a death mother or chthonic deity of death and rebirth. The elder is said to be sacred to many goddesses, including the Morrigan, Venus and Holla. In Celtic folklore, it was said that anyone who falls asleep beneath the branches of an elder tree would be whisked away into the fairy realms. And a lot of that has to do with this slightly hallucinogenic property of its ability to somewhat numb any pain from an infection in the throat and coat or lubricate in that way to prevent infection, and also the toxic nature of much of this plant spirit ally. And of course there is that warning there as well, so the elderberries must be cooked in order to be utilised in this medicinal way. The poison path is another topic, but that is the warning there, that you need to be sure that you are working with this plant appropriately. And so I would just say here as a disclaimer to always work with a trained clinical herbalist, as well as consulting with your general practitioner before you imbibe anything. In the 17th century, John Evelyn, a researcher from Britain, claimed that if the medicinal properties of the leaves, bark and berries were fully known, that he would not be able to tell what our countrymen would ail, for which he might not fetch a remedy, either for sickness or wounds. Really, it is a panacea for so many wounds and ailments. It's quite extraordinary. So that deep purple colour, basically black, that's the flavonoids, the anthocyanins. That plays a big part in the immunity, in boosting the body's immune system. It's also anti-inflammatory and antiviral, so it's incredibly potent and powerful for protecting the body from any kind of infections or inflammation. The immune system is also boosted massively by flavonoids within the elderberries. There have been many studies with elderberries utilised, and many of those showed that the recovery rate in those who had colds or flus was really quite remarkable, and there is some argument to say that it can be considered more effective than even an immunisation or flu shot. However, obviously contemporary medicine has its place, and that is not for me to say, but that is some of the research that I've come across during my time working with the plant spirit. The author of Evolutionary Herbalism, Saja Popham, actually says that it is the wisdom remedy because it's got this ancient wisdom about it and it seems to be able to cure almost anything, any malady. Elderberries are known to be ruled by the planet Venus. It's also Saturnian in its energy and as well as its appearance. It has a very death, rebirth energy, as we've discussed. And although it's not specifically a nervine in terms of herbalism, it doesn't necessarily work to benefit and support the nervous system in the traditional way. It really does help support it indirectly because it's very warming and comforting and nourishing for the body. It's also an expectorant, and that is part of its like pushing out of the toxins from the lungs. Also, the formation of the berries looks very much like blood capillaries as well as the lungs, and that speaks to the ability that it has for supporting the lung health as well as heart health and circulation and blood around the body. In terms of it being a great remedy for colds, coughs and flus, which is, I suppose, what it's most famous for, how I understand it works is that it makes the body aware of the virus and the body then creates antibodies which fight it off. So it doesn't go in there like all guns blazing. Instead, it more protects the body's cells as well, coating it in this kind of viscous medicine so that the virus itself can't actually penetrate into the cells of the body. It was also speculated that Jesus may have been crucified on an elder cross, as elder trees are prevalent in Jerusalem. And it's also used in folklore to protect from witchcraft and evil spirits within the home. Historians have traced the elderberry back to Hippocrates, the ancient Greek, who was known as the father of medicine, and elderberry was described as his medicine chest for all of the ailments that it cures. It can also help to support urinary tract infections, bladder infections, and cystitis. It can be a great allergy relief, and it's fantastic for digestive health as well as the liver and the kidneys. There is so much that the elderberry can do. It's also high in fiber, high in vitamin C, it's low in calories, and it tastes fantastic when it's obviously brewed into a decoction and then mixed with honey or syrup and some alcohol and utilized in this way. I have found some sources with studies that shows that elderberries have been shown to have cancer inhibiting properties, also protection against UV radiation, as well as antidepressant properties. Okay, so this has had a couple of hours steeping now, and it's cool and it's thick. So we're going to strain it, and then I'm going to add to it the alcohol and the sweetener. So I've just got another saucepan just to put it in for now, and I've just got a sieve. Okay, so this is all strained. And over here I've got my brandy already measured out, and unfortunately we couldn't get any raw local honey today because the local shop that we were going to was closed, or my husband was going to get it from was closed. So I'm just using this pure Canadian maple syrup, which is like a vegan option. I would rather use honey, which I have done in the past. I've made honey elixir type things before, but this is the alternative. This is what we're using today, and we've still got plenty of beautiful ingredients in this lovely concoction here. So I'm going to add this as our maple syrup. And next I've got the brandy.
I added brandy to your shopping list.
Thanks, Alexa. Let's just have a little taste. That's so good. Oh my gosh. So it's really thin, obviously. It would be thicker if it had honey, but it's so delicious. And I'm gonna just measure it out and see roughly how many litres we've got. So we've got about 400 millilitres there. So we've got our mixture here, and I've just got a bottle that was an old vinegar bottle that I've just basically sterilised, and I've got my little funnel here, which is like your best friend when you're making these remedies. that is perfect. So here it is, my finished elderberry syrup. I'm absolutely thrilled with this, and I will be making it in the future with some honey because I think that will be even better, it will be even thicker. But this is absolutely delicious, and I do think that you could actually use this as a little tipple in any sort of winter drinks as well if you wanted to. That's the kind of the beauty of these homemade remedies. Similar with the blackberry tincture, to be honest with you. So that is how I make elderberry syrup. On Patreon, I will most likely upload a download that you can pick up on there if you wish. So I hope that you've enjoyed that. Thank you so much for joining me for today's video. I do hope that it has been healing and nourishing and that it has helped to support your journey in some way or other. Please let me know if you make this recipe and do share photos of your elderberry syrup with me. Do like the video, comment down below your favourite herbal property of the elderberry and any remedies that you like to make this time of year as well. I'd love to hear all about what you're whipping up at this time of year in the kitchen with your Herbal Apothecary. Also share if you know anyone who would also enjoy. Please subscribe if you haven't already because that would really, really help the channel over here and just really, really help to support what I'm doing and the content that I put out for free. I also have an Instagram page and a old TikTok page. I have slowed down with content creation on Instagram due to certain ongoing situations, and I am consciously engaging with the platform in order to raise awareness around activism, but I do plan to re-engage in the future, so please do go follow me over there. I also have a Patreon for those of you who would like to support me more. I also have a buy me a coffee page, or there's direct PayPal link, or indeed there is the super thanks below as well. So thank you so much for being here though, just liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and generally watching the videos is so supportive and I'm so grateful for it. I love making content. It is one of the joys and so I would love to be able to continue to do that. So when you watch and like and share and comment, it really, really helps me to be able to do that. So thank you so much. With all that said, I hope you have an amazing festive season and a very, very blessed Yuletide and winter solstice. I look forward to seeing you again in another video really soon. Many blessings. Bye.